Open the back of a European truck and you'll usually find two bunks, one low, one folded up above it. Narrow, functional, like a train compartment. Open the back of an American sleeper and you'll find one bed, a big one, and around it a refrigerator, a microwave, a television, closets, drawers, room to stand up straight, two continents, same job, moving freight down a road. And they came to completely opposite conclusions about what the space behind the seat is for. That difference isn't about comfort or money or which country builds a nicer truck. It comes down to one question that gets answered differently on each side of the ocean. And the American answer is a lot sadder than most people realize. Let's start with what those two bunks are for, because it's not what most Americans assume. In Europe, they call it double manning. Two drivers, one truck, and the truck effectively never stops. Their rules work like this. Each driver can drive about 9 hours a day, 10 twice a week, and has to take a 45-minute break after 4.5 hours behind the wheel. Solo. That means the truck sits still for a big chunk of every day while the one man in it sleeps. But put a second driver in the seat and the arithmetic changes. Under their rules, a two-man crew gets a 30-hour window to fit their rest into instead of 24, and the required daily rest drops from 11 hours to 9. So while one man drives, the other one is in the bunk. Then they swap. The wheels keep turning most of the day, and that load gets where it's going in a fraction of the time. That second bunk isn't a spare. It's the whole business model. Now, before anybody comments, yes, we have team drivers here. Husband and wife teams, partner teams, and there are whole divisions of big carriers built on it. It's real and it works, but it's a specialty. It's for freight in a hurry. High value, tight deadline, the stuff that would otherwise fly. The default over here is one man in the seat. Our rulebook says 11 hours of driving inside a 14-hour window, then 10 hours off before you can start again. And there's a sleeper berth provision that lets you split that 10 into two pieces, which is exactly how the teams that do exist make it work. So the rules allow it. Plenty of countries would love our 11 hours, but structurally, almost everything about American long haul assumes one person. The question is why? Here's the first real reason, and it's just geography. A run in Europe is short by our standards. You can cross several countries in a day. A lot of their freight is a few hundred miles with a hard delivery window on the other end and a border or two in between. When the trip is short and the deadline is tight, doubling the crew to halve the transit time makes obvious sense. Now look at us. Los Angeles to Chicago is over 2,000 miles. Solo, that's 3 days or so. And here's the thing. 3 days is fine. That's what the freight expects. Nobody's paying extra to make it two. So on most American lanes, the second driver doesn't buy you anything anyone is willing to pay for. The load isn't in that much of a hurry, and the country is too big for the maths to work, which brings us to the part that decides it. A second driver means two paychecks moving one trailer. That's the single biggest cost in this business, doubled, for one load. You only do that when speed is worth more than labor. In Europe, on a short run with a tight window, it often is. Across America, on a normal dry van load, it almost never is. And there's the other side of it, which nobody says out loud in a boardroom. One driver in a truck for 3 weeks is the cheapest way there is to move freight across a continent. He's already there. He's not in a hotel. He's not going home. He's not costing you a second wage. The economics didn't just permit the solo model over here. They rewarded it. Hard. For decades. And now we get to the actual answer. Ask a European fleet what the space behind the seats is for, and the answer is, it's where the other driver rests during the shift. It's a workplace. Two bunks, narrow, because nobody's living there. They're sleeping there between turns at the wheel. Ask an American carrier the same question, and the honest answer is completely different. That space is where the driver lives, not sleeps, lives. 3 weeks out is a normal run for a lot of American drivers. Some do more. Everything a man needs for 3 weeks of his life has to fit behind that seat. His clothes, his food, his shower kit, whatever he does in the evening to stay sane. That's why the American sleeper has a refrigerator and a microwave and a television and a bed you can actually stretch out in. It's not luxury. It's not the manufacturer being generous. It's the minimum you need to keep a human being functioning when the truck is his address. Two bunks means two people working. One big bed means one person living there. Now, I want to be honest here, because it's not all roses over there. Plenty of European drivers on long international runs are living in those cabs too. Weeks at a time, far from home, in a bunk built for a shift and not for a life. That's a real problem in their industry, and their drivers have been complaining about it for years. Their rules on where you're allowed to take a long rest exist precisely because that got out of hand. So this isn't Europe good, America bad. It's two systems that ended up in different places, and both of them found ways to keep a man away from his house. The difference is that we designed for it. We looked at a driver spending a month in a truck and thought, better make the truck nicer. Which brings me to the thing I actually wanted to say. The American sleeper cab has got bigger and better every decade I've been around this industry. When I started, a sleeper was a box you could barely turn over in. Now some of them have got a full-size mattress and a proper closet and a stand-up ceiling, and there are custom ones that would embarrass a small apartment. Everybody treats that as progress. And in one sense, it plainly is. I'd have killed for one of these in the 70s. But ask yourself why it happened. That cab didn't grow because somebody wanted to be kind to drivers. It grew because the time between a man seeing his own front door kept getting longer, and eventually you have to put a refrigerator in there, or he won't do the job. The size of the bed is a measurement of how long he's away. So that's the answer. Europe put 2 bunks in the truck because 2 people work in it. We put 1 big bed in because 1 person lives in it. Now I want the number from you, and be honest. What's the longest stretch you've ever been out, start to finish, home to home? And if you've been in this long enough to remember, tell me whether your sleeper got bigger over the years, and whether the time at home got shorter at the same rate. I've got a feeling I know the answer, but I'd rather hear it from you. If you want more straight answers about why trucks are built around the lives drivers actually lead, subscribe to the channel. I'm Dale, keep the shiny side up, and I'll see you down the road.